Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. I'm your host, Giovanna Tartavone, and today we're going to be talking about the power of foot detox. And I'll tell you how this all started. I met beautiful Paula Childers. Welcome so much, Paula.
Nice to be on your show.
Thank you. And so I met her when I went to an holistic fair, the Oneness, the Heart of Oneness. And I was about to leave because I was really tired and my feet hurt. And what do you know? Paula's there with this machine that I was looking at people's feet and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And so my personal experience with foot detox is the reason why I'm doing this show, and what a difference it made and what an amazing process. So we're going to talk about first, Paula, how did you get into this? Because I know it's changing lives. I know it's helping people feel better. It helped me personally to feel better. And we're going to share some pictures later. But definitely, tell us a little about you and how did you get into this work?
Well, I'm kind of a unique person. Most people that get into natural health is because they have some kind of a health issue. I was 10 years old when my dad married my stepmom, and she was kind of a new age woo-woo woman. And she started feeding me vitamins and herbs when I was 10. And then when I was 19, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And she said, we're going after this naturally. And I thought she was nuttier than a fruitcake. But we did it. We had the cancer cut out. We put my dad on a juicing diet and took away all of his white sugar. And at the end of the year, my dad was cancer-free, and we stayed that way for 26 years. And that's what made me believe that there was an opportunity to get people healthy without making them sick first. And then what really solidified it and how I got into the ion cell side of the business industry was my stepmom was diagnosed with ALS, and they told her, you have 6 months to live. And she said, okay, I'll get my affairs in order. She said, Paula, you get to work and you find something that's going to help me. And I found an ion cell cleanse machine, and I used that with her, and we beat the disease for 6 years instead of 6 months.
Wow, what a story. So beautiful.
That was my journey in. And then since then, and since 1996, I've been doing this professionally as working as a health coach. So I love what I do because I truly do believe that we can change people's lives, fortunes, and futures, because getting sick's expensive, by finding ways to get the body back into balance.
Yeah, it's all about awareness, right? It's all about educating people. And I saw that. I saw what you were doing at the show about, reading them, what each different color of the water looked like. And I was just amazed how you were able to describe, and let's just put it out there. You're not a medical doctor, but you've learned, and there's a way to identify certain things in the water when you go through this detox. Yes. That will indicate what's going on inside the body. And, I have to say that this process was like, you got to see it to believe it. Well, let me tell you, we saw,
how many do say we're going to entertain you, gross you out, make you feel better all at the same time. So kind of,
and that is so true.
It kind of just describe the event.
Yes. And tell us, how did you, so understanding that, you were on a journey to help people really, help themselves, right? Because, this is what my show is also about. My show is about bringing people that are truly making a difference in this world because they have a passion to help people, right? And you've been doing this for how long?
Well, professionally since 1996. And like I said, I was kind of raised doing it. So, but one of the things that I learned a long time ago is your health is your choice. I mean, now there are things that you can't fix. Like I have my youngest child, he is a type 1 diabetic. He's insulin dependent. And so there's no option on that. But over the years, we have used different tools for him to keep his A1Cs down and to, maintain a healthy lifestyle to the best of his 20 some year old bodies, because we are in the 20s. So we had kids, we are in the 20s.
That's right. We go backwards instead of forward. If we do take care of ourselves, though, I do see more and more science, showing us how we can reverse the aging if we truly focus on what's going on inside our body, right? And how we can make healthier choices. And sometimes it's not just the food that we eat, because of course there's a lot of food that is not good for us.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. But it's also understanding what our body needs. I had a person on the show not too long ago, and he said, think about the food we eat. It's the vitamins and the nutrients we want in the food. We don't want the shrimp, but we want the iron from the shrimp. We don't want the chicken, but we want the iron from the chicken, right? So it's making those choices, understanding like what are the ingredients that the body needs. Now, when we don't make those nice choices and we just go on a splurge, but we can do that once in a while, right? But if we're not careful enough, then we need to detox.
Absolutely.
Educate my audience a little bit on detoxing.
Well, please. Detoxing, the big thing is that most every country in the world practices detox, with the exception of the United States. It's kind of mind-boggling to me that it isn't part of our regular healthcare, but we don't. And I do blame a little bit on our medical model in the United States. Unfortunately, we are a for-profit medical industry instead of a for health. And I'm a for health person. I'm a product of my product. I do believe that the tools that I have used over the years that I brought to the market, as well as the ones I've gotten from my friends and shared with my with my family to keep everybody healthy, is really, really important. But detoxing, if you don't clean out at a cellular level, or if you just don't detox at all, then you don't absorb anything. It's not you are what you eat. It's you are what you absorb or don't absorb. And that's the big thing is that most people don't realize that if you're not taking that nutrition in, then your body has to go find it somewhere else. It's starting, like, one of the big things is water. I mean, people ask me, go, what if I got to change anything and I can't buy anything from you? What should I change? And I'm like, your water intake. And they'll look at me like, what? I'm like, your body's made out of 65% water. Brain's made out of 75% water. If you don't put fresh water in your body, it's going to go shopping. First place it goes is in your colon, making you constipated. And second place it goes is in your muscles, making you kind of achy and tired all the time. So, you just don't feel good. So if you start drinking water, then your body starts to flush things out. So that's the beginning of your detox process. But like I said, it's real important to clean yourself out so you can take in the nutrition, whether it's from the foods you eat, the water you drink, the vitamins and supplements you take, and your medication. I don't know how many of you have gone to the doctor and they said, hey, we have to raise this level of the level on your prescription because it's just not doing it for you. It's because you're not absorbing it. And that's the big thing. This is that most people aren't absorbing what they're taking in their bodies.
So it's not necessarily because they really need it because it's not working. It's the body's not absorbing it.
Yes. It's, like I said, it's a lot of, the big thing is that also by detoxing your body, remember, it's always a lot easier to be proactive about your health than reactive about your health. And
right, of course,
if you ever try to play catch up, it's a rough game. It's a very rough game.
I know. One minute you hear, garlic is good for you. The next thing you hear is garlic kills you. I don't know what to listen, but it's true. It's like you're not sure, what's right and what's wrong, but it's listening to your body, right? It's making decisions.
Absolutely. Well, and it's like when people ask me all the time, they're like, "Well, are you vegan?" No, I'm not. And they look at me and like, "Well, And I mean, I answer them. I'm like, look, I travel all the time for work. Yes, unfortunately, Mickey D's and I have become friends over the years because that's the only thing in the airport. But I also, as I always tell everybody, here's the thing is that if you take in and you keep your body as clean as it possibly can, then you're going to get the best bang for your buck with the supplements you take or the foods that you're eating. So it's really important to eat clean, but it is also more importantly to absorb what you're taking in. And the only way to do that is to do detoxes. And the detoxing it's had fads. I don't know. Do you remember back? I think it was it's probably about 10 years ago. The one where everybody was, oh gosh, I can't think of, all of a sudden I can't think of the name.
Detox Happy?
Oh no, it was, oh gosh, now I'm feeling really stupid because I can't think, that was right in my brain and it went out of my brain. My daughter was
okay. It'll come back. It'll come back.
Well, my daughters, when their senior year, they were all like, we're going to do this crazy detox. And I looked at them and I'm like, well, girls, you're already detoxing regularly. And they go, oh yeah, we are. And I'm like, you're not going to probably need to do this. Whereas their friends kind of got sick off of a detox. A lot of times when you start to detox, you'll start to feel crummy. And that's one of the things that is real important is the way you detox is not to detox too fast, to do it in a healthy way. And when you said something earlier that about like foods that you're going to eat, I always tell everybody, it's like fish. People that go, when I'm doing a detox a month, a lot of times I'll see parasites. I can't remember. Did we have parasites with you?
Did I? Yeah.
Did you see parasites in your water? I don't remember.
So.
Yeah. So people go, oh, well, I saw parasites. How did I get parasites? Well, it can be from the food you eat. And they go, oh, well, I don't eat beef. I'm like, well, they actually detox a cow and a pig before they take them to the slaughterhouse. But fish, on the other hand, it doesn't get detoxed. And raw fish has got all those essential fatty acids. So if you really look hard enough, you can find something wrong with everything. It's just, so it's like, it's moderation and doing things, in balance is a big deal.
It's being cognizant of what goes in.
Yes.
Right. Because yes, we can eat healthy, but also we have no control over some things, right? We say fish is healthy for you, like you just said, but yeah, that might have parasites.
Yeah.
But our body is made to deal with a certain amount of parasites, right? My understanding, like there is a percentage, maybe 3%. I don't know what the percentage is, but our body is made to clean, to get rid of it and fight against it. I tell you, I had a sty in my eye, and I was told it was a parasite. So, and I went through my, that's why I really wanted to do the detox on my foot, because I'm like, maybe from up here it can just like release or something. But it was definitely something that I felt, different about. So I'm just going to show this machine that we're talking about that does all this beautiful work. Let's see if we can see it. So this is the machine that helped me to feel better. Talk to us a little bit about this machine.
Well, it's the Detox Ion Cell Cleanse machine is, I was just recently asked to be on Bloomberg Television TV show World's Greatest, because they went out and they do segments and they look for what they think is the best machine or service in the market on certain subjects. And they called me up and they said, we're going to do an episode on an ion cell cleanse machine. Can you give us some information? And I did. And I said, I understand they started out with 10 different machines, and then they went down to 5, and then they went down to 3, and then they went down to me, and they decided that I have the best machine on the market based off of the research that they did. So I'm proud to say that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. What makes my machine unique and different to some of the ones that you might see on the internet is that even though we plug it into the wall, we have a converter inside that changes it from AC electricity to DC electricity. Now, as we all know that we're electrical, and AC electricity is not a vibrational match to the body, but DC is. So that's always very important when you're using any kind of a unit, whether it's a detox or a PMF mat, that it matches that vibrationally to the body. Then the other thing that makes my machine unique is the program that's set in the motherboard it changes frequencies every 90 seconds. And so different frequencies address different parts of the body. So we want to make sure that we address all of our eliminative channels, like the liver, the lungs, the gallbladder, the colon, thyroid, hormones, kidneys, because all of those systems have to work together at 100% for us to be in balance. So that's a big deal. You see those little blue boxes that say array. That's where the magic comes from. That creates the ions in the water, and those ions are what goes through our body and grabs the cellular debris. And the blue wristband sends a charge into the body, and that helps to release the stuff that's clogging up our bodies and our cells. The herbicides, pesticides, petroleum products, hormones, heavy metals, plastics that we get from the food, the water, and the air that we breathe. We want to make sure that, those things, we can't do anything about them. If you live in a bubble, that those are going to be a part of your everyday life. So we want to get rid of them. And so that wristband sends a charge in that releases it off the cell wall, and then the ions from those arrays will grab it, and then through urination, elimination, sweat, you dump your junk. And that's how a cell cleanse machine works. And that's why most people, like when they do it, the detox, when we look at the water, it's disgusting and gross. But the reason why they feel better the next couple days is because the body's still processing stuff out. And that's what you want to do. It's like cell cleanse, not necessarily a foot bath. Although that part is really the entertaining, gross part.
Yeah. I like I said, I've experienced using the machine, and I have to say that it definitely gave some results that left you wondering, like, oh my goodness, what's in this body? But we're going to take a short commercial break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about, we're going to show you the water, and we're going to show you some results. And then we'll talk about like what's coming out of the body. Like, this is real stuff. So stay tuned, everyone, and we'll be right back.
Now, the vast majority, approximately 95% of the people of all countries, go around and around without aim or purpose. They drift with the circumstances of life, good or bad.
A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind.
Whereas the successful individuals create their own circumstances and ride them to victory.
When you're on purpose, you're living on purpose, you will never quit if you have a real purpose.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. But what I have done has been recorded, it's been tested, it's being taken to a free world, and it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born.
And it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born. We're some of those people. That we're spreading this to the world. As your awareness grows, the doubt is gone, so that you can manifest whatever it is your heart desires. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, welcome back, everyone. Okay, so we left off with showing the picture of the machine, and now we're going to show you what the machine can do. And I would advise you that if you're about to have dinner, please just wait a little bit.
Like I said, we entertain, push you out, make you feel better all at the same time.
That's it. So, so here's the process. You put your feet in the water. As you can see, that water is very, very
when
dark.
we started, that water was straight out of the tap, completely clean water.
Right. So
she'd been in for about an hour at that point.
okay. Now here's just a close up. You will see of another gentleman, right? So that little box, you can see array is right in there, right? So that little machine is right in there. And then hours later, or an hour later, probably.
Yep,
And
that was
just
at the end of third. That was at the end of 1 hour with this individual. Yes,
wow.
kind of had all the
So,
colors of the rainbow with that one.
oh, I see. So when I, passed by the booth, there were, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 people. And, I saw the variation. Of course, I even saw my water turn from, beautiful white. And I was going to show the video, but it's too long. But I went through the same process that's here. And so now we're going to talk about, what does this mean? Like, can this be real that your body, is able to extract? Like, how's it really happening? Because I know it's from the pores, and I want us to just talk about a little bit. I'm going to take this off, and I just want to talk a little bit about how that, there's a combination, right? There's the machine, but it's also the feet that will be the. Go ahead, I'll let you continue.
Well, you're basically getting 2 detoxes at the same time. So what comes out in the water tells me a little bit about you. The different colors, we'll go over a little bit of that in a bit. But those different colors indicate different things that you already know about yourself. I mean, just basically, for the most part, we just confirm what you already know. We know our feet are an eliminative channel because your shoes get smelly, your socks get soggy, and your feet have an odor to them. What you may not know is the sweat glands in your feet are 4 times larger than any other part of your body. And that's how we eliminate through there. It's with the different colors that come out, they usually tie to something, like I said, you're already aware of about your body. The second detox, the other 95%, is what the big deal is we're cleaning you out cellularly. But like I said, when we put you in the bucket, you're like, oh my goodness, where did that come from? And did that all come from me? So, like I said, we're not diagnosing anything. That's the big clear thing I want to always make, is that we're not diagnosing anything. But usually when I talk to somebody and I say, hey, does this sound familiar to you? Most 99.9% of the time, it was like, how did you know that about me? Well, water doesn't lie.
Definitely not. So, what just comes to mind right now is, I remember you had a poster that showed the cells, because you just mentioned, it's at a cellular level that we're detoxing, right? So I remember seeing this poster that showed, the cells being all clumped together.
Yes.
And then after the detox, they're loose and separated and kind of flowing. And it was a video that you were showing people as well, so they can see.
Absolutely.
Can you describe that a little bit?
Yes, I sure can. So I wanted to, like I said, the reason why I got involved in this was because we were trying to make my stepmother healthier. And so the machine that I used with her, that was expensive. It was $6,500 and not consumer friendly. It was really hard. It was kind of hard to operate. So when I came across this machine, I was like, let's see if this works as well as the other one. And so I have quite a few people I've done this with, where I've taken their blood before they've ever done a detox. We did a 1 hour session on them, and then we had them return 24 hours later. And you can actually see those clumped up cells that are all bunched together, that they call that cellular debris or rouleau. And then the next day you can see it starting to separate. You can start to see the cellular debris eliminating from the bloodstream. 48 hours later, almost everybody had cells that weren't clumped together, stacked on top of each other like pancakes, and and I call them a halo effect, because that means they're oxygenated. That's what you want your blood cells to be, is oxygenated, so they're taking nutrition in and expelling waste out. So that's what we do. And I've done it with sick people, that testing, and I've done it with some extremely healthy people. And even that, I had one friend of mine just recently, I was at their wellness clinic, and he was extremely surprised, and he's got the access to everybody's toys. And he was really surprised that just one session with mine actually did that much of a difference with his bloodstream, because he is probably one of the healthiest people I know. He practices everything he preaches.
Yeah. So even though you may be healthy, I mean, this is more like you can use it as a routine, again, being proactive instead of reactive, right? So I love that.
Well,
So
think about it this way. You run your vacuum, you scrub your toilet, you do your laundry once a week. Why wouldn't you clean the one thing you can't replace? And that's what this does, is it gives the body the opportunity to do a quick cleaning once a week.
I don't know if it was one of your colleagues at the show that mentioned this, but it stuck in my head. It was about, she made an analogy of using the refrigerator, right? You're cleaning out your refrigerator, getting rid of all the stuff that went bad, that has mildew.
Yes.
And you're bringing it. So it's kind of like the same thing here, right? It's getting rid of whatever your body couldn't process or whatever doesn't really belong there.
Yeah.
And because it's inside and we don't see it, we think nothing's happening and we're healthy until finally, we don't feel good, and then we go and discover all the ailments that we have.
Yeah, the body kind of turns on itself, is, for lack of a better description, is that it when it gets too toxic or too acidic, then that's when we start to see all these diseases that, think about it, diseases that didn't exist 20 years ago or weren't common 20 years ago, that are part of everybody's everyday conversation. Chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, arthritis. 25, 30 years ago, it was an anomaly. Now, I would say at least 30% of people over the age 40 either are somebody that might be somebody that has something autoimmune. It's sad to say, but that's at least 30% of the population has got something autoimmune going on. And
to that point, I know that there's a small percentage, and this came from Dr. Bruce Lipton, that a small percentage of the people that are born with ailments and sickness. So the large majority of us are born healthy.
Yes, we are.
Right. So when we are seeing that we're sick with this high blood pressure or this or that, or we have to really stop and think, like, what did we do? Because we have to take ownership of it. That's the biggest thing, right? Is take ownership and say, okay, I didn't have this when I was young, only a few people, right? So what did I do? And I'm, everyone knows I'm a cancer survivor, and I know why I got cancer. I smoked. I didn't take care of myself. Like, I have to admit that and be honest with myself. And then I can, move forward, right? If we are not looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, what are we doing that is causing this in my life? Then we'll never find a solution, or we're looking for somebody to give us a solution, and the solution is right within us.
Absolutely.
Right?
And the big thing is that, when I've talked to people over the years, I've always said, the first thing is you have to decide what course that you believe in to get yourself healthy. And I've always literally looked for the natural direction first. That's where I've always gone, because we had such good results with my dad and my stepmom, just to mention two members of my family. And I raised my kids that way. And it's funny because when my oldest first moved out to go to college, he was out for like 2 weeks, and he moved out with three guys, into their first house. And, it was college boys, let's be honest. Yeah. They were having a good time. And about 2 weeks into it, he calls me up. He goes, "Mom, can you make a pot of chicken soup, and can you bring over a machine?" And I said, "Of course I can." And so I brought it over, and because he was raised, if you don't feel good, stick your feet in a detox before you even talk to Mom, because otherwise the first thing she's going to say is stick your feet in a detox machine. Now they all lived together for the next 3 years. And guess what? That machine sat in the corner of their house for the next 3 years. And whether it was them or their roommates, or their roommates' friends, I can't tell you how many people detoxed just because Casey said, Detox, you'll feel better. You
And
can't be
it's
a
the
college boy
truth.
with that.
Absolutely. So we're going to share the list of things that identifies, what the water will extract, will show, which I was absolutely blown away. And I think my audience will too. So let's look at this list. And again, we're not giving any medical advice here. We're just showing you what is coming out. When this water looks like this, we are identifying these different things that are in the water. And this is where Paula's expertise comes in. So let's go back and let's just, pick some here and let's go through it because
a couple.
it's
Well,
so
like
important to
the
understand.
most common, we'll start with that, is unfortunately or fortunately is the orange. And that's the orange usually means that the body has some inflammation or acidity in it. And so like anybody that's got something autoimmune, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, arthritis, cancer, diabetes, gout, neuropathy is going to show a lot of that orange tone to the water. Now, if you've had some kind of an injury, like I was a ballet dancer and a gymnast, and God never intended me to land on my head, my back, and my knees like I did when I was younger. And now that I'm 63, it showed up a little bit. And so there's, you can have old injuries from sports or from a car accident or something like that. That'll create that acidity and inflammation in the body too. So there's different ways you can do that. And also if you have a really physical job, construction workers, or if you work out a lot, you might see orange because the lactic acid that's coming off the muscles. The other one that I think we saw in that picture was there was that dark green that kind of looks like a split pea soup. That's usually the gallbladder, and your gallbladder, most people don't, they know that you can live without one, which you can. But your gallbladder is your fat processing plant. And so if it's clogged up, that's when you'll find that when you eat red meat or fried foods or processed foods, they may not digest really well. They kind of sit there and they're just like hanging and they're not getting anywhere. That's usually when we'll see that gallbladder stuff. Or if somebody is trying to lose weight and they're not being successful, it a lot of times is because your fat processing plant is really, really clogged up. And there's a couple of ways to clean that out. The other one that a lot of people see, and it's a hot button in today's world, is those parasites. We'll see those in the water, and they're and you can get parasites from so many different ways. You can get them from the water you drink, the food you eat, from walking barefoot, from swimming in lakes, oceans, or streams, from your pets, sleeping with them, cleaning up after them, working in the garden. Some of the signs you might have them is if you grind your teeth at night, if you snore, if you drool, if you flip around like a fish out of water during a full moon or a new moon. You might have friends you did not know about.
Wow.
So and the thing is that there's good bacteria, bad bacteria, and parasites. And people sometimes they get them confused. Good bacteria is what you need to break down your foods and digest. The bad bacteria, I'm going to name it. It's bad. It's usually the stuff that, is, because of yeast and mold and fungus in our bodies. We don't really want that. And a parasite is a parasite. I mean, there are ones that really don't affect the body too bad. And then there's ones that can really wreak havoc. I've had, I have, over the years while I've been doing detoxes, I've been doing parasite cleanses since 1996. I had one guy that actually gave birth to a 4-foot tapeworm one time. It was insane. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was crazy. And that's why I always say the first thing to do when you want to get yourself healthy is it's the cleanse, rebuild to balance. If you do not clean your system out, first and foremost, everything else just is expensive urine. So you can be out there buying all those supplements or good foods, but if you're not absorbing them in, then it just becomes really expensive urine.
It's funny. I'm just going to relate this to I used to do skincare, right? I have my license in skincare, and they used to say that if you can buy the most expensive product, but if your pores are not clean,
Yep,
it's not going to penetrate. So
absolutely.
it's kind of like the same thing, right? If your cells are not clean, it's just it won't penetrate to be oxidated, like you said, and it's just going to lead to disease, obviously.
Well, yeah, and then also, like I said, all of your eliminative channels, they need to be functioning at 100%, like the liver, the lungs, the gallbladder, the colon, thyroid, hormones, kidneys. If one of those systems starts to go down, we've heard, like liver, if your liver, like the good news about the liver, and most people don't realize this, it's the only organ that can regenerate itself.
Regenerate.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's either degenerating or regenerating at all times. So, you can abuse it a little bit and then bring it back to life. there's tools and things that you can use for that. And with the skincare, that's always interesting, because people that I'll work with somebody that has really bad eczema or something like that, and they're like, I've used all these different products, and I'm like, well, it's also, the inside out, because your skin's a reflection of your blood's a reflection of your liver's like your oil filter for your car. And if that's really clogged up, when it starts to, it has to release through something, it'll release from your biggest eliminative channel, your epidermis. And that's where a lot of times our skin issues start happening, is because the liver's just one big, toxic mess. So that's a good one to start with as far as cleaning out and addressing, is the liver.
And this machine addresses all of it. Like, it takes out toxins from every part of the body, correct?
That is, it addresses, what it does is it addresses to take, a cell, every cell in your body takes the nutrition and expels waste. A healthy cell is individual and separate from each other. If they start to gather together on top of each other, that's called cellular debris, or rouleau. And most people don't remember high school biology, but the way a cell reproduces is it splits and makes an identical copy of the original cell. It's called mitosis. So if you're splitting those healthy cells over and over again, you're going to stay in that path of wellness. But if you're splitting a disease cell, the disease is going to progress. And if you just a fatigue cell, that's how the fatigue just, you're just like, I'm just dog tired all the time. And that's because your body's just reproducing those cells over and over again. So what this does is, like I said, we send a charge in to release that cellular debris off the cell wall. And then the ions from the array grabs that cellular debris, and through urination, elimination, and perspiration over the next couple days, you release that stuff out. So those systems start to function at a higher level. And that's real important, to keep your metabolic rate up, is to make sure that all those systems are working at 100%, is 100% of the time is what the goal is.
I love this sheet because you have it laid out so nicely that anybody can take the findings and go to the doctor and say, hey, I did a foot detox, and this is what, they found. Can we check this? Maybe this is my issue. So it's being proactive, in a sense where you're not just going to the doctor and say, okay, what's wrong with me? I don't know what's wrong with me, right? Because we all think that, yes, doctors are, our saviors, but we have to give them the information for them to help us. It's not they don't have a magic wand that they can look, beyond the physical body. So this is a great way to really say, maybe these are the reasons why whatever you're feeling becomes an issue, right? And then you manifest it into your physical body. So I love the fact that I will tell you, for myself, my results were, you told me things that I need to look into, and I will follow up, and because I do want to be healthy, and I'm thinking, we can do the juices and do the detox and drinking, certain things, but detox to release the toxins on your body, it's a whole separate, process, right?
Well, yeah, and like I said, and I think at the beginning I couldn't remember, but the master cleanse, that was one that everybody was talking about, and it was a lot of cayenne and trying to release all this stuff out. We need to dump our junk. We just need to make sure that when we dump our junk, that when we dump the junk, we're dumping it so we can stay healthy as long as we need it to do.
So we're just going to go through. Okay, let's just continue. Do you need to get that?
Yeah, I'm just going to hang it up.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
So this is truly.
I thought I had it on silent.
Okay. That's okay.
So yeah, there we go. So the different colors, like I said, all the different colors indicate roll back to what you probably already know about yourself. So like I said, if you are a lot of orange, that usually means that you have a lot of inflammation in your body. It can come from, like I said, an injury or an illness that you're already aware of. If your water looks like Hershey syrup, it's a good possibility that you're not eliminating really well. And that elimination is real important, because think of it this way: if you put a piece of chicken on your counter and you leave it there for 24 to 48 hours, how nasty is it going to get? If you put that same in your body and you're not processing it out, it's going to do the same thing. That's why a lot of times people feel tired, run down, and crappy all the time. It's literally because they're full of it. Once you have the junk, you start to feel better. Now that light brown, that's another one that's really, really common with most people. And that would be the lungs. And if you breathe in and breathe out, and if you're from one of the, from a big city, God knows what we're breathing in and breathing out. But so it can be allergies or asthma, smoker, ex-smoker, around smokers, and it does not matter what you smoke. Live, work, or play in a dusty, polluted, or pollinated environment. If you have pets in your home, dairy product user, been sick recently, and one that people don't think about, and I always think about it when I end up going to the East Coast, like I was with you a couple of weeks ago, is how cold it was, and that you had to run your heater. I'm from California, so I don't run mine 24/7, but it was 20 degrees, so running that heater in that hotel room. But that heater, that filter's got to get changed all the time, and if it's not getting changed, you're breathing that toxic air all the time. People don't realize what's in your daily air, so you can pick up a lot of different things from the lungs that way too.
Absolutely. We're not aware, and that's knowing that this is available for us for something that we're not aware of, that we're getting into our bodies, is essential for us to maintain our health. Now, any age, is there an age appropriate, like beginning?
Well, I've like I said, my kids were raised on this machine, but as your kids their immune systems are pretty strong, and their stem cells are functioning really well up till about the age of 30. That's when we start to age. Around age 30 is when we start to age. And that's because our stem cells start to work only about 50%. And our stem cells are what I call our rescue rangers, are the first responders to our bodies. And so they go out and keep us in balance. So as the little kids don't necessarily need to use it as often. If you've got somebody that's if it has bad allergies or bad skin, things like that, ADHD, autistic kids, I usually will start those a little bit younger, but my kids started doing detoxes regularly closer to 12 or 13, age. But you should do at least once a week.
I was going to say, what do you mean by regularly? Yeah.
Regularly. You should do it once a week. Like I said, run a vacuum, clean your system. And we do it usually for a full hour. And that's because it takes 22 minutes for the blood to go from one spot all the way back around to that same location. So that way you're getting a couple cycles of the blood that's being addressed with different frequencies to get you healthy.
Wow. So when it comes to, do you do it before dinner? Do we do it after dinner? Does it matter? I don't know if I want to do this before dinner.
Well, you're kind of reminding me of when I first started doing natural health, and one of the first speakers I heard was somebody on parasites, and they did that right before our lunch. Yeah, so it kind of just depends on the person, but for me, I like to do my detox in the morning, because it has a tendency to give you a little extra kick of energy. And then also you end up sleeping really good that night because you've got more oxygen going into your blood. So when you go into your REM sleep, you're going to sleep a little bit better. So that as far as that goes, I do usually say, hey, earlier in the day is better, but if you do it at night, it's really not going to make a difference. Eating doesn't affect it in any way, shape, or form. And that's the one thing that people always get really worried about. Are we sucking anything out of you? No, we're not sucking out your medications or your nutrients either. Because remember, those are going into your digestive system. They're being broke up and sent out way before it goes into your trash system. And so the only thing we're going after is what you've taken in, processed, and ready to eliminate. So you don't need to worry about, oh my gosh, am I going to deplete my minerals or is it going to affect my medications? No, not at all.
Beautiful. So, when we're talking about the different organs, I mean, looking at this list one more time, and, because I can't get over like how, in depth the information is on here. But when we're looking at, we say our thyroid is not working correctly, right? And a lot of people get that kind of diagnosis. So the imbalances could be because the cells are clogged together, just a better understanding in the thyroid area.
Yes. And so in the thyroid, I always tell everybody that the thyroid has a partner in crime, and that's the hormones. So we don't necessarily know if the thyroid's throwing the hormones out, or the thyroid's throwing the hormones out, but usually, unfortunately, the two go hand in hand. They're kind of twins. And but what I have over the years by doing cleaning out at the cellular level with this, and then I have another trick I used for that I use that's a stem cell patch that I share with people a lot. I have one friend of mine that we've literally, her medication, she's almost completely off of it, and she's been on thyroid medication for 12 years. So I always tell everybody, remember, it took you a while to get into a mess. So anything that you're going to do is going to take a while to get out of it. So, patience does, you have to take, it takes patience, and, there's no overnight quick fix to get you healthy. But most people will find that when they start making one or two little changes, that instead of waking up and climbing in the shower and standing there like, oh dear God, let the hot water wake me up, and then I'm going to go sugar and caffeine myself so I can get through the next hour or the day. You'll find that when your body's in balance, that you don't necessarily need to do that. You'll just wake up feeling good. And a lot of people forgot what it's like to feel good. It's
I totally agree.
It's hard to feel good.
We're always on a run, and it's funny. I'm looking at this. Yeah, we're always on a fast pace. We don't stop to take care of ourselves. And this is one of the reasons why I do this show, is to bring awareness how important it is to stop and take care of ourselves, right? And not wait until something is wrong to take care of ourselves. It's funny. I wouldn't think that this would show up, but one of the things for me, and I circled it here, I love cheese. So one of the things that showed up for me, and it was so true and clear, that white cheese showed up on my chart. And that is because I love cheese. Is that true?
Well, here's the thing is that mold or fungus, there's different ways you can get it, but contributing factors are mushrooms and cheese because they do come from that family. Sometimes I was, I'll find it and I'll look and say, so have you been exposed? Because a lot of people don't realize what's in their everyday environment. People that live in basements, even if it's finished, I mean, we don't know what was down there beforehand, or live in an older home that might have been flooded or worked in an older building. There's a lot of times there's mold or fungus in our environment that we're breathing in every day that's going to create that problem. The biggest one that happened in my family is my daughter. In fourth grade, her classroom had the highest amount of absentees in all of Huntington Beach Elementary School for 1 year. That's a lot of classes. And at the end of the year, it was a 100-year-old school. At the end of the year, they decided to renovate that block of four classrooms. They were in the middle. As they pulled down the walls, both walls were completely filled with black mold. Now, mind you, that school is about a mile and a half, less than a mile away from the ocean, and it's been there for 100 years. That black mold's probably been in those walls for a long time. They didn't know about it until they started to tear it apart. So a lot of times when you do get some of the stuff is self-inflicted, like meat, cheese, and mushrooms, and some of it is the environment that you're in, and you're not aware that there is mold and there's been a plumbing problem and the walls got black mold or something in it too.
Yeah, so important to that's how I fell in love with this machine, because it's like we don't know, and now that we know, at least we can get rid of the stuff that's in our bodies. This is so wonderful. And then this one, the last one, the yellowish cheese, candida, like again, it's eating sugar, breads, soda. I mean, this is the stuff that truly we eat every day, right? Like, oh my goodness, like how can we stay healthy?
Yeah.
If we don't, detox the body from this.
Well, and what's really funny is most people don't realize that they have a sugar problem, or how it affects you. And I always refer back. Well, you've seen it, the commercial where the Snickers commercial where the guy comes walking in all cranky, and then he eats the Snickers bar and he becomes Marsha. Most people don't realize that, that is true. But they don't know why it's true. It's because they've eaten a sugar or carb. And so you fed the yeast or the fungus in the body. And so you stop being cranky. Candida is, if somebody's been on a lot of medications, they've killed off all their good bacteria. That's one way to do it. If they work around a lot of chemicals, that's another way. Your diet has a big thing to do with it. If you every time you eat something a diabetic would have to count: pasta, bread, rice, potatoes, beer, wine, soda, fruit. I mean, fruit too. All those things will feed the yeast and fungus in your body. So, but yeah, when you first start up and you'll see that it looks like dandruff in the water, like, what is that? I'm like, well, that's the candida, sugar junkie, carbohydrateaholic, which one? All of the above.
I definitely had that. And, I'm very grateful that I was able to stop, take care of myself, do a process and, help my body stay healthier. I mean, we are in charge of our bodies and what we put in and what we, do to our bodies. We can't look on the outside for solutions sometimes. We think it's, outside of us, but the solution is really inside of us, and we need to get rid of whatever's going on inside of us so that we can stay healthy. I just love, Paula, what you do and your passion for this. Like, that's what really stopped me, is watching you taking care of everyone, making sure that everybody was getting their food detox. And it is very powerful. And, I very much appreciate you coming on to share this wonderful work that you do. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, they can go to your website, right?
You can go to your website, and if you have questions, I'm more than happy to to chat with anybody. My phone number is 714-849-3133. But remember, I'm a West Coast girl.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Paula. I appreciate you coming on, and thank you everyone. This is Sparking Change with Gigi. Until next time, see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.